Hey, Jen.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. Are we live? Are we ready?
We're live.
All right, folks, welcome everyone. This is the regular monthly meeting for the Tioga County Industrial Development Agency. It is Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. The meeting is hereby called to order. Christine, could we do roll call, please?
Jen Ceccarelli.
Yes.
Kevin Gillette.
Yes.
Martha Sabrai.
Yes.
John Ward.
Yes.
Eric Knowles.
Yes.
Aaron Gowen.
Here.
Tracy Manal.
First up, I think we have a guest for privilege of the floor. Right, Christine?
Correct. So James Gensel from Fagan Engineers is here to update us on Owego Gardens 2. Jamie, can you hear us, and would you like to share screen at all, or are you all set?
Oh, no, I think we could hold off on sharing the screen. So it's Jamie Genzel, Fagan Engineers, giving you an update on the Owego Gardens water system construction piece. The big thing out that we've been waiting on is the cost estimates for the electric system, as we were looking for the change orders from multiple parties, but that includes Robinson, our contractor, and the electrical contractor. We did receive numbers, estimates about an hour ago. So we just received them, so we need to still go through them. But we did have the main number that we have been able to go through is the first piece of the puzzle that needs to happen is the pump station upgrade. That number came in somewhat in line with what we were estimating at around $10,000 to do the electrical improvements inside the pump station. That was through a lot of effort on value engineering what was happening inside the pump station. There was multiple meetings by IDA, Robinson, and Suez, and the electrician. So we got to that point that we feel comfortable moving forward with that piece. So we're there with that. The other numbers we are reviewing, they're lower than what was quoted to us from Suez, but I really need to get into them to see how they match up. They're very detailed. We asked for a number of items listing out exactly what the unit costs were and such, so we could actually review and evaluate it. And such that we have probably about 100 line items to go through. So we do need to go through that at this point.
And I just want to say thanks to Jamie for really taking control of the situation and getting the information that we need. It has not been easy. Relationships between parties and all, but Jamie's done a really great job at getting everybody together and getting to the point we are right now, which I think we're close. I keep saying that, but I think we're close with this one.
Oh, the one other thing I meant to bring up is the secure. There's a separate number out there for the camera system and the security system. We finally got details on what that system needs to be. We've been provided a cost estimate by Suez from their contractor. However, we feel that that number is out of line. So we are actually getting 2 quotes from certified installers that are in New York State. Those numbers should be coming rather soon, but we finally have equipment. It's hard to do apples to apples comparison when you don't have the actual equipment and understanding exactly what they're seeking. But when I priced out the equipment, just the equipment only, we're coming up with numbers that are about a quarter of what they were talking about. So we do need to get a cost to install the equipment and all that, but we're kind of GCing this at this point just to make sure that we're getting value out of what the dollars are being spent.
Any
So
questions?
I'm sorry. Eventually, we will have a spreadsheet listing all this down, so we know exactly where we're at with the project.
So Kevin's asking about cameras. So the cameras are one of the requirements that Suez requires that was never included in our original scope.
So here's
There-
what the original scope included, actually two fixed cameras on site, and that was the health department requires that as well. It's goes back to, Homeland Security requirements, for a public system like that. But, the original estimates we had a much lower than what eventually this kind of what we call scope creep kept creeping on. Okay, I want one fixed camera. Now we want 3 pan, tilt, zoom cameras. So we're going back to what the health department requires and proposing that as what we're going to install and dedicate over to Suez. So that's the next piece that we've been waiting for information back for that system. Now that we know what the actual specifications are, we can get our own physical numbers, and we can choose to use our contractor, or we can use their contractor. Right now, their contractor price is much higher than what we would anticipate. So let's see what we get for our price.
Additionally, Suez is saying that we need 3 cameras, and Jamie's going to fight on our behalf to say we only want to put in 1.
Especially if the type of camera. I can understand if you have fixed cameras where they don't move. So they would like 3 cameras that can actually pan, tilt, zoom, PTZ. Well, if that's the case, we can cover a large portion of that building with just 1 camera. So or that tank, excuse me. So that's what we're making sure that we're getting down to what's necessary, not what we want. Sometimes when I talk to my teenage kids, I say there's needs and wants, and in this case we got needs and wants. So, and I know that's been our discussion for the last couple of weeks, to be honest.
More Suez. Who's controlling the pan, tilt, and the zoom?
They do.
So
It has to be cameras, and I understand this. It has to be cameras that work with their system. So I have no issue with that. It's just that realistically, what do they really need to secure that site? The site is fenced. It's going to have barbed wire on it. It's going to have 1 entrance. It's somewhat remote. That's why you need to have the cameras. Kids going up there and partying, you never know. But there's also security system on the Leo Gardens buildings as well. So there's some access control to the site. But bottom line is we want to provide what is sufficient to give security to that asset.
Any more questions for Jamie?
So what we'd like is an okay from this board to go ahead with at least the pump station part of it, because we can go on that now. We have that number and we can go on that right now. So Jamie's just looking for an okay from this board to go ahead with at least that part of the project.
And that's the $10,000.
Yes.
Is that exactly what it is, Jamie? What's the exact figure?
Pardon, what was that?
What's the exact figure?
$10,465. And the majority of that is actually the electrician.
So most of it's electric.
Yep.
Grade to that.
Yep.
pump station.
And just so you know, that number was higher, and we did a lot of work on that to get that backed off as well, because they were looking for a whole new panel to be put in, and so we.
Yeah, that number was probably going to be in the 50 to 60K range if we just did what was proposed.
So this whole entire process has been a series of negotiations, so back and forth, and here's what it is. No, we're not going to do that, and what will we do? And
is there always a Suez component in the equation?
it's going to be their system.
Okay, do we have to vote on that?
I think we do. I think we absolutely should.
Well, no harm. I mean, it's a
No, there's
change.
not. There's no harm, and there's an exact dollar amount, so I would prefer to do that. So I'm seeking a motion. Thanks, Kevin. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
All right, now I want to know, how much are we talking approximately on the other portion? So I know you didn't want to tell us, but
I told him you wouldn't ask that question.
Oh, yeah, right. You should have called me. if you-
Yeah, you should tell them tonight.
And to be honest, I really do need to go through it. It literally, it's 3 pages of numbers that I need to go through to make sure. The problem we have is there are numbers that are already covered in the existing contracts that we need to get credits for as well. So the net number, I don't know. I got to go through it. I really do.
Chicken.
I know. I know. But there is significant number of items that could go back and forth. But the one nice thing just going through some of the numbers quickly, the unit costs that I asked for, I know there's like so many feet of conduit, so the numbers are coming in line with what I would estimate with current pricing. Now, keep in mind, pricing has gone up over the last year. So there's been that escalation as well. But so I'm going through it, but we've also asked for a number of alternates based on what was requested by Suez, but we have not totally agreed to. So, there's dollars there that I got to subtract out as well.
So you just talked for 5 minutes, you still didn't give us a number.
I'm learning to become a little more political than I'm sorry.
All right.
But as soon as we get this, what I'll have is a spreadsheet for you guys to have to look through. I'm not trying to hide any numbers or anything like that, but I want you guys to see complete numbers. We do still have, we have numbers all over. We have the pump station number, we have the generator number, we have the security number, and then we have the electric number. So we've been working, for example, we do have the generator number. I don't know the exact number. It's roughly like $7,000. At one time they were talking, wasn't it like 30,000 or 40,000? So there's been a lot of those kind of things that if I don't give a full review of this, I won't be doing you guys a good service.
Right.
Thank you, Jamie.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
How soon, Jamie?
Oh, I got to have this to you guys next week, easily. After I go through the numbers here, I'm going to contact Aquastore, the water tank supplier, and see what credits I have available that way. Because there are, from an ease of doing things, we took some of the elements out of their contract to make this easier. Now, whether or not that, now I got to account for it is the bottom line. And they've been, and Aquastore has been great to work with. They've been very transparent on what costs they're carrying. And they actually made us they actually recommended that we take some of the elements out of their piece so that they wouldn't have to charge an upcharge, the subcontractor charge. So, they've been working well with us. We do appreciate their assistance. And it's just that we need to now that we have our numbers in front of us, we need to get back with them. So maybe during the snow days, the next couple of days, that's when I can deal with them.
Okay.
Thank you, James.
Okay.
Moving along, folks.
Have a good night.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have a couple of people. Anybody want to share anything? Privilege of the floor? No. Okay. Just thought I'd ask. We don't usually have visitors, so we're pretty happy that you're here.
So Barb Roberts is joining us. She just joined the legislature for Tioga County. So she's viewing an IDA meeting as well as many other economic development meetings to get acquainted. She's on the committee that oversees this
She is the
department.
chairwoman, yes.
She is the chair. Thank you.
Welcome,
Super.
Barb.
And we have Matt Freeze with
I haven't seen Matt in a while.
I know, it's nice to have
At
them.
least not all of them, you know. I've seen them partially.
Yeah.
A couple times.
All right, folks, moving along, I'm seeking a motion to approve the January regular and annual meeting minutes, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the financials. John or Aaron, do you have any comments?
Last meeting's coming.
Okay. Aaron, nothing? You're good?
Everything that I spoke.
Okay, great. Seeking a motion to acknowledge the financials, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is Leanne Tinney, talking about the Education Workforce Coordinator.
Yeah, plus I'd like to give a little update on what we're doing. But as far as the Education Workforce Coordinator position, we have hired a person. His name is Sean Lanning. He started Monday. And if you recall, the funding for the position is coming by way of the Floyd Hooker Foundation. And been talking with Mark about that. The funds are approved $100,000 a year for the next 3 years. We have also applied for ARC funding. If we can kind of back off the Hooker part and supplement with the ARC, that's what we're intending to do. Mark has asked, however, that the IDA consider acting as the escrow agent for the disbursement of the funds. So Hooker to disperse funds to the IDA, and then the IDA ultimately pass on to the county. So I had a conversation with Joe about that. Did you want to share any thoughts on that?
Well, I didn't see anything that would prohibit us from doing it. It's somewhat of an awkward setup, but at the end of the day, we were gonna do the same thing in a different form. Before,
Exactly.
why don't you just give the money to the county? He doesn't trust. I know.
His preference would be for this body to kind of oversee the disbursement of those funds.
You already said that, but why? That said, it's going to be if we do it quarterly, it's gonna be the same amount. It's not as if we're reviewing invoices or confirming that certain work has been done. It's gonna be.
But my question is, why does the IDA want to put themselves in a position where the money's gonna be going to, there's nothing in it?
Just put it in the budget and then you draw the money out to pay.
But who's doing that?
Well, I mean, the money would go in
Christine's
our
gotta do it,
budget.
correct?
Yes,
The money
she will.
should come from Hooker, I'm saying. Why couldn't it goes from Hooker to the county, it's in the budget, they pay the budget out.
Yeah,
to get it
why do
right.
we want Christine to have to be involved in the middle of this thing for anything? Just, we're not getting anything for her effort, even if it's this much.
Well, that said, the reason we were able to undertake this talk,
You don't have to hold it in like that.
it's an economic development.
Bring it, will you?
initiative.
I know Mark. That's- I mean, that's basically, he just feels a lot more comfortable with the IDA.
Right.
I mean, we worked with Mark forever. Either
He
way.
worked for us as well.
And you didn't, yeah.
Okay. I mean,
It's just more okey dokey, but
not a-
whatever.
yeah.
It's not,
It's okay. It's convoluted, but we can certainly do
certainly-
it.
Certainly it'd be a lot better if it went right to the county. There's
Yes,
no question about it.
absolutely, absolutely.
so
Yeah, it looks better.
I'm biting my tongue, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's insulting.
Yeah,
It is insulting, and that's all I have to say.
that's smart. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me.
It is insulting.
I don't understand it
And if he
either.
was sitting here, I'd tell him so too.
Moving on.
On the flip side of that, you got folks asking for $100,000 a year for 3 years. He's gonna stroke a check.
We do what he wants. That's my feeling.
So now you're sounding like our president. You just do whatever he says and this is what
No,
we get.
that's not.
Oh, now,
That's
now.
That's way different.
Yeah.
I think this one, we could be a little flexible because we can accommodate.
But they
Whatever you want to
they
do.
say why, or, I mean, it's interesting.
he feels more comfortable
You
taking
can,
it through
you can say
the.
no.
That's
See
okay.
where it goes.
Then we're okay
I
with
mean,
it
I'm
too.
okay with either way.
I'm a no. No.
We need a motion for this, what do you need?
Well, I guess because of the discussion, I would say we would put a motion out there and see
I
how the
think
vote
we
goes.
should.
It should be a motion authorizing the agency to act as an escrow agent with respect to the workforce development project with the county of Tioga.
That's a whole bunch of words right there.
Got that, Mike?
But very well said.
Seeking a motion, please.
Is this for like 1 year or this is for?
3 years.
3 years. 3 years. Well,
Hmm.
We need a
Can I interject for a second?
You may.
This seems like we're creating multiple steps here, and I realize there's personalities involved with it. But is this something we can go back and say, listen, instead of taking 3 steps, why don't we just take 1 and run it through the county? It would be better for everyone involved that we don't interject more people. Is that a possibility with this individual? Rather than just say, okay, because you said so, now we're going to create 2 more steps. It just seems like the more you do that, I don't know, it feels like in my world, the more I do that, the more complicated I make things that don't need to be complicated.
well,
That's just my thoughts on it.
Leanne, could you go back to Mark?
Absolutely.
Okay.
do we want to vote on it anyways? Or would you rather she goes back to Mark?
I think she should go back to Mark first.
Would be my personal opinion. We
Marty,
have a
what do you
little
think?
time, so it's not something that has to be decided tonight.
Okay.
So we have a little time with it. So, yeah.
It's a
I'm
deal
happy
breaker,
with that.
Leanne. If it's a deal breaker, fine, right? But if it's
Right.
just, hey, I feel more comfortable with the IDA, yeah, we understand, but at the same time, it creates more, it creates more systems that don't need to be created.
Got more layers.
That's a good point.
I agree.
If it's a deal breaker, then, we'll go back, but if it's not, fine.
I can do that.
Thank you so much. That would be great.
Okay. So as far as additional updates, I was going to mention that we have new legislators on the ED&P committee, Barb as the chairperson, and Ron Ciatoli has joined. And so our committee is Barb, Ron, Dennis Mullen, and Dale Weston. Grants, we have out there right now, 8 potential, 13 pending, 26 that are active, and 1 that's been completed. As far as economic development activity or DRI work is ongoing, we have a New York Main Street on North Avenue that's ongoing. And the Restore project, that's the Briggs and Awad building in the Village of Owego, has been completed. The Restore project in Village of Waverly, the Twig building, is almost done. Just waiting on some final paperwork from the state on that. And we also are participating with the Waverly School District on a gateway beautification project, a mural project in Waverly. The town of Nichols, we have a grant and we've received and are in the process of purchasing a sweeper vacuum truck that will be shared amongst, remind me, Megan, the county, town of Owego and village of Owego. So that was something that Megan wrote that grant and is administering that grant. Village of Candor, Megan also administering a New York Main Street application in the Village of Candor. Annual breakfast, we are going to do a breakfast again. Recall back in 2020, we had a breakfast and invited local business people and municipal leaders and such. We're going to try it again. We've moved it to Thursday, April 28th. And the location will be at Tioga Downs. More on that to come. Land Bank, we're hoping that the Temple and Liberty Street demolitions will be occurring early February. Still working through the Village of Owego local approval process. Hopefully February 22nd and 23rd, that process will be completed. We are working with the Owego Appalachian Central School District and Hooker Foundation and the Land Bank on the purchase of a rundown building in Owego that the school will use their students to come in and do rehab on it. And ultimately bring it back and sell it and then look to purchase another building. So that's in partnership with the school and the land bank. and the Hooker Foundation. So
And
that's pretty
IDA,
exciting.
You monitoring their money?
Christina will. We'll be doing that, not to worry. Planning has been gathering information on the recent Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, and is providing a summary on those municipalities that are in or out, and also working on the legislative redistricting plan. Sustainability management, we have contracted with MRB Group to do a renewable energy best practices study that we will share with our municipalities to help them and provide guidance to them on how to approach some of these solar projects and what they should be considering when they're doing the negotiating on that. Working on some GIS mapping. Again, Megan and Christine have been working with the GIS guys to do a web page that will show available properties, which we're pretty excited about that. We don't have anything like that available where anybody from public can go on and take a look and see what available properties out there. So that's pretty neat. We're excited about that. 2021 CFA Awards, there were 3 that were made. One to Tioga County Shared Services Technology, that's to advance IT services to Village of Owego and Town of Candor, I think. Yeah, is that right? Also, we participated in the Village of Owego Police Station restoration. That grant was made in the amount of $468,000 for a rehab of the Owego Police Station, and also the Village of Waverly in an economic study. There was grant awarded, and we assisted in that grant application as well. Town of Nichols, we are working with the town Southern Tier Network and in the county and making a USDA Reconnect grant for the extension of broadband to unserved and underserved areas within the town of Nichols. We are working with a potential client. You already know about them because you approved the inducement resolution for American Pride Solar, who's looking at the San Mina building. That is ongoing, working with the state and looking at what sort of incentives the state might be able to bring forward for that project. If you recall, that's manufacturing of solar panels and looking to employ probably 350 people or more. State leads, we responded to 2 straight state leads, Project Scroll and Project Electrode, waiting to hear back on that. And I already talked about Sean Lanning joining us. That's all I have.
That, the website database on the land, is that gonna be just IDA owned property?
No.
So who all can post on it, and is there a criteria, realtors, individuals, the IDA, what's?
No, it'll all be controlled internally. So we gather whatever information. So we talk to a realtor or a property owner and we say, we see you have 50 acres here, we'd like to list that on our web page. And if they're agreeable to it, then we'll gather the data and input it.
Yeah, I think if, one thing to think about is we're always looking for a piece of land that we want to develop into some kind of industrial use. But there might be some advantage to the individual that owns the property, knowing that that's what folks are looking at to be on the front side of that buy, as opposed to, it might be a little more in it for the landowner in some cases, and it might be an incentive for more people to participate. That's all I'm saying.
So we are intending on listing the Engelbert Oil Lounsbury land that we don't own, but we know they want to sell. And then listing us as the contact information so that interested parties call us and we make the connection.
Will it be posted on a website or is this something you just keep in?
No, it'll be posted for public viewing.
So public.
So it's just people have an interest in selling their property, whether it's a house somewhere.
No, we're not doing residential, it's only commercial.
So it's vacant land or commercial building.
Yes.
Yes.
And Megan's been,
Brokers out there.
so Brian Butters from GIS has been awesome. He's actually made the website for us after reviewing the Kern County agency's example. He came up with 4 or 5 other examples. with our input, he's working on the final draft now. Megan's been putting a ton of work into reviewing the database that ED&P has held for a number of years and just like scouring what should and should not be on the website. So big shout out to Megan and Brian. for it.
Moving on, my dear.
So Jamie already gave us an Owego Gardens project review. The updated spreadsheet I sent you includes the payment that I haven't cut yet, but I'm about to cut to Robinson for their work in the amount of roughly $135,000. So anticipating approval on that pay app this week, and we'll be paying him out. I'll be getting with the finance committee again to transfer funds from somewhere. We're at 134 in our checking, so I'll email you three tomorrow on that. And Joe's been in contact with the Suez attorneys working on the transfer of the tank parcel. Suez is definitely going to own it. Moving on, the Lounsbury Power Study. I just got a draft report right before this meeting, so I don't have it dispersed to you all. But it's in
We
progress.
still need a little work.
I'm sorry?
We sent down the draft, but we need a little work on that.
On the purchase and sale.
But I mean, we drew a resolution, because after resolution authorizing, subject to the approval of the contract by the council.
Yes, so that's with regard to the Lounsbury industrial pocket.
Yep.
The 4 acre.
Yep.
Parcel.
So we'll touch on that in executive, and if everyone's agreeable, we have a resolution to enter purchase and sale agreement there. Onward, just the 2021 audit is in progress. It's going very well. Megan, forgive me, I always want to call her Griffiths, and she's we've been meeting every other Thursday morning for training, cross-training IDA specific duties. So far, we've trained her on ICS withdrawals, IRP loan admin fee calculations, USDA link reporting, lease invoicing, loan site visits, Paris reporting instructions, making the quarterly payments to the treasurer for the HUD/COVID loan funds, tracking the railroad payments, making sure that they're the correct percentages, QuickBooks, just pulling quick reports, recording deposits, cutting checks, and preparing pilot invoices with the spreadsheets. So we've gone through a majority of the duties and are compiling an instruction manual for whomever to utilize as well along the way.
That's great. Can I have that?
I am.
Christine, Christine, can I have that?
Yeah, James.
For my file, thank you.
And sales tax exemptions continue to be submitted. Everyone's within their authorized limit. Just so you all know, and so that it's referenced in the minutes, this year, the pilot payments coming in, I'm depositing all into the Owego Gardens account. And I intend on closing the Best Buy and Crown Cork and Seal independent pilot accounts. We just need one pilot account with 0 interest, and we'll put them all in there going forward. Aaron and I discussed it tentatively, and we will run it by the finance committee, but
It'll be labeled just pilot payments.
Yeah, that's
So
what that's the only thing I've heard. That frozen, but I remember at least this thing.
so last year, I was still utilizing the Best Buy Crown Cork and Seal and putting all other payments into Owego Gardens to keep them 0 interest. This year, we're putting all in Owego Gardens, closing the other 2 and renaming it. Regarding pilots, just an FYI, letting you know, Best Buy has reached out to me requesting I review all the payments we received. I had advised them next year would be their last year of pilot payments, and they're saying this year was their last. So we'll just be doing a little review on that. And they did just email me this week, a different Best Buy contact is interested in the bargain clause when their pilot agreement does expire. So I'm in conversation with Joe about finding out what that is, and we'll get back to you later.
Bargain clause?
I just sent him an email. We haven't even had the conversation yet. I apologize, Joe.
Oh, no, that's just a interesting term.
I'm not familiar, but
We'll
I
find out.
obviously will be.
It just issued that email, so.
Has a very distinct ring.
But an executive. Okay. And then we're still waiting on a result for our Richford Railroad grant application. That's all I have for regular session.
I need a motion to move into executive session, please.
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
I will-
Shaken. There's a snowstorm coming, Kevin.
Energy, and I have to-
It's not till tomorrow.